Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the new banners of 3.4. And here are the new banners that will be headlining 3.4 in the first half of the update, with the main 5-star characters being Xiao and the new 5-star Dendro character being Alhaitham, with the 4-star characters being Yaoyao, Genshin, and Xinyan. I'll be going over the character banner first, and then I'll be going over the weapon banner much later. First, let's talk about the new 5-star character, which is Alhaitham. Alhaitham is a 5-star Dendro sword user that specializes in doing continuous Dendro damage from his elemental skill and his elemental burst. When looking at his skills, is pretty much similar to Kaching's, where whenever he does elemental skill, it basically does a mark in front of him, and wherever the mark is, he transports there, dealing Dendro damage to any enemies that are in that area. And when he uses elemental burst, he creates his AoE in front of him, and any enemies that are within this AoE gets dealt multiple instances of Dendro damage. However, the one unique thing about Alhaitham that separates him from Kaching is that he has a special mechanic where whenever you use his elemental burst or elemental skill, he gains these seeds. And you get these seeds whenever using your elemental skill or your elemental burst. If you have up to 3 seeds, you can use them in 1 or 2 ways. If you decide to stay on field with him and do normal attacks and charge attacks, it will do these cool looking Dendro attacks. And over a span of a couple of seconds, you'll start to lose 1 seed, and when you have 0 seeds, those Dendro attacks will stop. Or the second way you can decide to use them is by whenever you have 3 and you decide to use your elemental burst, it will increase the multiple instances that you can do, making the burst last longer, dealing more damage. That's the unique mechanic that he has in his kit, which can lead to some interesting combinations that you can do with him, either using his elemental skill before the burst or his burst before his elemental skill. But the way it can work can allow him to stay on field a lot longer, because whenever he has these seeds, he can deal continuous Dendro damage on field, making him right off the bat a solid on field unit. When talking about weapons, I think he's gonna have a pretty good amount of weapon choices in terms of like 4-star. When talking about the weapon choices, I know a lot of people are gonna think about he's gonna want a crit stat weapon for 4-star, where actually his best 4-star weapon is gonna be the free-to-play event weapon that we literally just got in this patch. Main reason is that it gives you a whole lot of elemental mastery, which he does want, and the passive is also really nice for single target damage towards one enemy whenever you deal damage to them. He does have other choices, mainly the other elemental mastery weapons. Obviously, his new 5-star weapon is going to be his best in slot, but any other crit stat 5-star swords are also really good on him, like J Cutter, Miss Splitter, and Haran are also pretty solid. But honestly, in some situations, the best free-to-play weapon that you can give Alhaitham is going to be the Harbinger of Dawn, mainly because it gives you crit damage as the main stat, and also a whole load of crit rate from the passive if you do happen to maintain above 90% HP. Honestly, if you are able to maintain that much health, then this sword is going to be very good on him, because you definitely want to give him a lot of crit if you want to make him deal a whole load of damage. I can understand why some people may not want to put this weapon on him, but honestly, in some situations, if you have a very strong shield and also a very good healer that can maintain his health, then I think this will be the best free-to-play sword for Alhaitham. When talking about artifact choices, he mainly has 2, either 1 the Dendro set or 2 the Gilded of Dreams, which increases his attack, and elemental mastery, which are 2 stats that he does scale off of. If you are planning to run him solo, then you definitely want to put him on Dendro set, because that set is really good for Dendro. But if you have another character that has that set on, then you definitely want to go for Gilded. You can run 2-piece elemental mastery, but honestly I think it's better to go for Gilded. But going 2-piece set is also a solid choice if you don't happen to have any of the good artifacts from the Dendro domain. I would still wait until we test him to see his true potential, which if you are interested, please subscribe to the channel, because I will be doing a guide and review on Alhaitham whenever he comes out, and a first impressions video when he does release and I get to test him. So definitely check out for those videos on my channel. But either way, I am very excited for his release. I think he's gonna be a at least a solid character. I don't expect him to be the strongest out of all the characters that are an on-field damage dealer and also a Dendro character compared to like Nahida, but we will see when he does release. And moving on to the second character, Xiao, one of my favorite characters. He is a strong Anemo polearm damage dealer that specializes in doing continuous plunging attacks that deals Anemo damage, that has great AoE. I think the only thing about Xiao is that he's not very universal in terms of team comps. He really just has a few that he works really well with, even though over time he has lost some value, but he has gained some in terms of like more supports, for example like Farasan, and he also has a pretty good amount of weapon choices as well. He basically does want a crit stat weapon, but he can use some attack percent weapons as well. Now regarding the sets that you can use with him, he is still good with 2-piece attack and 2-piece Anemo damage, so you don't really have to focus on farming Vermilion unless you want to min-max him to the max. Then I wouldn't recommend farming the Vermilion set because it is paired with another set that isn't really useful on a lot of characters except for like Ayato and Yoimiya, but still a very low resin efficient domain. But overall I think he's still a solid standard damage dealer. When moving on to the 4-star characters, let's talk about Yaoyao. Yaoyao is the new 4-star character to be introduced in the game, who is also Dendro and a polearm user that specializes in doing damage and healing your teammates based on the situation. Basically, whenever you use your skill, she drops this bunny on the field that throws radishes at either your opponents or yourself. Whenever it throws one at the enemy, it deals damage. But when there are no enemies and it throws radishes at you, it heals you. And whenever you use her burst, it basically spawns these up to 3 times I think, and whenever you sprint around, it spawns them behind you wherever you trail. And that's pretty much it to Yaoyao. She's gonna be a Dendro healer that can do some instances of Dendro damage where at the same time can also apply Dendro, but that also depends on how well her skill and burst works in certain rotations. But we will see whenever she does release. Moving on to the other characters, Yunjin and Xinyan. I'm not really going to talk about them that much because there's really not that much to talk about these characters. Honestly, Xinyan's not really that great of a pyro character. She gives you a shield that's not really that great and can apply some instances of AoE pyro. It can be useful in some Burgeon situations, but honestly I prefer Toma in utilizing Burgeon. As for Yunjin, she's basically only useful for normal attack characters, which honestly I don't think it's useful for Alhaitham. But either way, when looking at the character banners, these banners are honestly personal choice. If you want the 5-star characters, go for them, but in terms of the 4-star characters that you do get, I think the only character that's worth getting is Yaoyao, but that also depends on how good she is on release. So only go for the banners if you do want the 5-star character. I don't think it's worth going for the 4-star characters. I will be rolling for the Alhaitham banner on release, so definitely check out my Twitch if you do want to check out my stream whenever I do my summons for him. And when talking about the weapon banner, it's kind of the same situation with the character banner where it's mainly personal choice. The new 5-star sword, the Light of Valor Ascension, is a crit damage weapon at 88%, which is the highest crit damage you can get on a sword, and the passive gives you some crit rate and increasing damage of his normal attacks and elemental skill by 120% of elemental mastery whenever you deal a normal attack that deals elemental damage. I think this is going to be a pretty good sword for Alhaitham, but again he does have some other good options as well. The Jade Spear is also a very good choice for any character that has a polearm, but honestly it's not the best choice in terms of 5-star. Only really mainly for Xiao that it works really well in terms of the passive being used. But this banner seems decent in terms of both weapons being crit stat and the 4 stars not really mattering that much. I am mainly looking forward for Alhaitham, but these banners look mainly personal choice. But honestly, these banners don't really surprise me that much. Not really good for anyone to pull on. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe for more content in the future, and check out my Twitch. The link will be in the description below. That's it for today, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.